Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Today we are. My name is Jishin. I'm from Channel Next. I'm the technical director of Channel Next. So, Channel Next is a cyber distribution platform where we are introducing most promising vendors and the solutions to the cyber distribution, to the cyber domain. So we will be discussing more on NCCM. NCCM is a network configuration and a change management solution where it will be useful for in the heterogeneous network environment. If you have multiple network devices from multiple vendors, where it's a main challenges of managing and monitoring of these network devices and controlling it from one portal. You will be NCCM can help you to manage all the network devices from different vendors from one portal. So this is what we offer. So I would like to invite Mr. Abrub. He is the regional head of Everest IMS. He will be explain more about what NCCM can help you in the heterogeneous network environment and what NCCM offers and what NCCM is stands out in terms of technical capabilities with the other competitors in the market. Thank you, everyone. And I'm just handing over to Mr. Abrub.
Thanks, Jijin, for the nice introduction. So I think since we have around total 13 people here, will it be possible to unmute all of them so we can keep it interactive? Jijin, Rosella?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Great. So hello to all of you. Very good morning, good afternoon, depending on which region you have joined from. So my name is Abhiroop Sarkar. I am heading the Middle East geography for Everest IMS Technologies. So today's discussion is about one of our most interesting products, infraon NCCM. So before I get started in terms of what it is all about, what is NCCM, what is infraon NCCM, what does it do, how does it help customers to in terms of monitoring and managing their IT environment or other network environment. I just wanted to understand from some of you uh, whether you what is your idea in terms of NCCM, like what does it represent? Anybody can either unmute yourself and speak, or you can put it on chat. What do you think NCCM stands for? Anyone?
If anyone wants to talk, just enable the mic from the browser. There is a mic icon, so then you can start talking.
Just take a guess. No worries if you're wrong.
We have someone typing the answer in chat box.
I think you scared him.
Hi, good morning.
Morning. Who's this?
Yeah, I'm Shahul.
Hi,
Yeah, this
Shaw.
one is this is something same like similar like Ansible, right? Because we are also managing the network automation through the Ansible.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you
Yeah.
be a bit more
Yep.
specific in terms of what you're doing in Ansible?
Yeah.
Ansible, you're talking about the open source platform, right?
Yes, it's an open source platform, and we can easily manage all the infrastructure devices, especially specifically for the network switch and everything. So then we can easily change. For example, we also have the same deployment. So we have in our infrastructure we have around 90 switches. So if we want to change anything, we can easily deploy one template and we can distribute to the all the switches.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. Sorry, I didn't get your name. Shahidul, right?
Shahul.
Shahul, and where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from India. Then now I'm working in Abu Dhabi.
Okay, which company?
It is a defense-related company.
Definitely, great. So I think you're correct what you have said. So basically, it starts with configuration management and provisioning of your target network devices, and then it
Yeah.
also it helps you. It gives you the flexibility to make changes across multiple devices at
Yeah.
one shot, right? So you want some, say, you want to add a particular IP into the access control list of multiple
Yes. Yes.
switches,
Yes.
so you
Yes.
can do
Yes.
it at one shot, right? So that's what
Yeah.
this does.
Basically, yeah, because we are working in some the all most of the endpoints. We are our infrastructure is a PoE device.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I just create a template through the Ansible. So if I want to just like if I need want to restart all the node before we starting the action or something like the activity, so we can within one click it will be ready for that.
Correct,
Yeah.
right. Yes, so that is one of the thing this does. There are few other interesting aspects also which I'll take you through, but you are absolutely on the point.
Uh,
Thank you so much. I think we have S. Kumar who says network control and configuration management. So you're, I think, 90% correct. It's network configuration and change management, the exact definition. But yes, it kind of does a control. It gives you a control of your network, especially all your network devices and so on. So S. Kumar, if you would quickly like to introduce yourself, where are you from, where you're working, what's your current role, and so on, if you're okay with that. Either you can put it in chat or you can unmute your mic and talk. Hi, Shibin. Sunil Kumar. Okay, from Intellitech IT Solutions and based out of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or Dubai. Great. So you're also, as I said, almost right. NCCM basically stands for Network Configuration and Change Management, and it kind of gives you a complete control of your IT network from a single dashboard, kind of. Right. So similar to Ansible, I will not say these are totally different, but being an enterprise software, we have also done a lot of additional feature developments which helps our customers to basically completely manage your target network devices, both from an operations as well as to a certain extent from a security standpoint or an auditing standpoint. So that's what we will discuss. So let me quickly share my screen and get started. And any questions, feel free to unmute yourselves and ask or put a message in the chat box so we can definitely answer them. Just give me a moment. I'll just share my screen. Just let me know if the screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, great. So, what started NCCM? So, this is one of the newest products in our portfolio. So, we also have a monitoring tool similar to your SolarWinds or WhatsApp Gold. We have an IT service management tool similar to your ServiceNow, BMC, or Ivanti. And this is one of the latest additions, right? So, in terms of the idea behind it, we have a lot of banks as our customers, especially in India. So we were talking to them in terms of what they're doing with respect to monitoring and IT management. And then around 2017-18, they started coming back to us about this particular RBI circular. So this is Reserve Bank of India. I think it's a governing bank for all banks in India. So what we figured out was similar to RBI. I think every country has a bank like this, which kind of lays down the guidelines with respect to different aspects of banking organizations, and one of the critical aspects is your IT or network management or cybersecurity frameworks, right? So as per this RBI circular, there were a lot of points, and the points actually uh, trespassed multiple aspects. So if you see, when I go to the features page, right, so this tool, it delves into your operations management from configuration backups. Then it plays certain role of a PAM solution where you have authorization profiles. You can define which user, what privileges he or she will have, what kind of actions or whitelisting, blacklisting commands that they are allowed to execute, and so on. Then it has also certain audit qualities. So you can actually record sessions whenever somebody is taking or requesting a remote access. It can go through approval process or an approval cycle, and only after approval is provided, that person can take access to the device. But whatever actions are performed gets recorded and stored. So basically, when they ask us to categorize this into a particular type of solution, it's slightly difficult because it trespasses multiple solution domains. The major reason being it's based on this RBI circular around the which talks about the guidelines for addressing cybersecurity framework in banks. And then we did some R&D and figured out that this is in line or in sync with other country banks. We were talking to some bank in Kuwait or Qatar, where also most of the points that we have are common to what the bank is expecting in that particular region. Same for certain banks in Southeast Asia. Since I think as a financial organization or as a bank, they will have certain standard mandates in terms of how to protect your network or how to rather manage your network from a centralized software perspective. So that was the idea behind the tool. That's when the team got together, started developing this, and today it's become a really big tool in terms of the feature sets. But again, like our other tools, we have kept the licensing part very flexible, where users can decide on what all they want, and we are planning to have a versioning done so that in case somebody doesn't need all the features, they can opt for a truncated feature set at a reduced cost. So basically, on a high level, it helps you to automate the configurations and compliances of your target network devices. It can be your switches, routers, and so on. Going a bit deeper in terms of what are the exact features it actually provides. So this is a very high level set. So it starts with your configuration backups. So irrespective of you having 10,000, 20,000 devices, you can take centralized backups of all these devices. And when I say devices, currently this is restricted only to network devices. Okay. So you can take backups of the running config, startup config, and so on from this tool itself. And not
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay.
yeah, not only that, it goes up one step further where it actually helps you to
Okay. Yeah.
take
Yellow room is here,
configurations.
right? Yeah,
It,
yeah. Okay. See here. Not too far. Not too far. Yeah. Okay.
so I think there is some background noise.
Okay. So this one.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, so it starts with a configuration backup and then actually goes a step further where it allows you to take kind of if you are familiar with VMware or virtualization platforms, how you can easily take a snapshot of the entire guest VM, so that in case of any problem, you can just use that snapshot to recreate the VM. In case that particular host fails, you can just transfer that snapshot to another host and then get the VM up and running. So it does that something similar to a network device. It takes care of not only the configuration file backup but also the metadata. Like you have traffic logs for firewalls, you have there is messaging logs. So all that data gets captured. It's kind of a image that it creates and keeps. Suppose you have a device which has failed, you can actually get a spare device and you will have all the data available in this system to bring that new spare device back to the same level as configuration as the device which had originally failed. So that's what we are doing. Then it completely discovers the inventory data for the device, including your end of life and end of support details. So basically, it's able to proactively highlight your end customers. Suppose their device is going end of support in the next 3 months. So there are certain color coded highlights it provides to give them an indication so that they can proactively take some actions in terms of either renewing the support, or if it's going end of life, maybe they can proactively plan to upgrade that particular device to the latest models. Then one of the most commonly used features, routine task automation or task orchestration. So this is something that it does differently from other tools. So what it does is basically it not only has scripts to automate some of your smaller tasks like enabling a protocol, or adding a IP address to your access control list, or removing an IP from an ACL, but it can actually go very deep in terms of automating your day-to-day networking activities. So it basically creates an if-then-else kind of architecture. Just to give you an idea of this, maybe what I'll do is I'll try to touch upon each point and then showcase what exactly we are doing in that particular point from the tool perspective. So since I'm talking about task automation and task orchestration, let me just show you till what level it can actually do that. So these are the configuration templates, are basically some of the predefined scripts that are available in the tool. And again, this is completely vendor agnostic. So most of the common vendors are included. So be it Cisco, Juniper, I think HP, most of the common names are already there. In case customers have new types of devices, so proactively we try to add the scripts for the respective devices upfront, so that when the tool is getting implemented, you already have all these options. So any changes to your BGP, anything with related to ACL, uh, any any commands, so everything is already there. And also helps, this is very useful also from a security perspective, because for your L1 L2 engineers, you don't need to give them complete access anymore. What you can do is you can just give them access to the specific commands they need, so they can just execute this. Maybe they have to add some runtime variable, so maybe they're adding a list into a ACL. So what they can do is once they run the script, it will just prompt them to enter the IP address that they want to add or remove from the ACL. So that kind of ensures there are no it reduces the possibility of human errors, and it also ensures there are no security challenges where once you give them access to the complete device, then they might try to execute other commands which they shouldn't or they need not, right? So that way also it's kind of an additional layer of protection for your end devices. So apart from these simple scripts, the other thing it does is something like this. So suppose I have a slightly more complicated task. Say, just consider a scenario where I'm doing a DC to DR migration. Now I need to do some changes at the gateway layer. I need to do some changes at the core layer, and these need to sync with each other, right? So that's what this also is capable of. It creates this kind of a if then else architecture. So you can actually define, okay, at the first layer, I do certain tasks. If this is successful, I do this. If it fails, I can also define whether it should start the next task or it should just end automatic completely, and so on. So these can be executed in parallel, or as a end user, I have complete control, or as a network admin, I have complete control in defining what pattern is to be followed. So it can be multiple levels. Here you can see first level, second level, third level, and finally I'm doing something. So this helps you to actually automate around, for some of the big banks which are using software, they have been able to automate around 85 to 92% of their day-to-day networking activities using this particular tool feature. So here I'm creating a VLAN, them and assign. Once it's successfully created, I'm assigning it to a particular interface. Then I'm doing some trunking and then something else. This is just a simple example, just to showcase the flexibility of the tool in automating your even your much more complicated tasks. that's what we are doing in the task automation or task orchestration. Then vulnerability detection and remediation. So basically, this also plays a role kind of uh, network device patch management. Okay, so I think all of you are aware of patch management for desktops and laptops, but we also need to take care of our network devices, right? So every OEM, or there are certain standard bodies like NIST and all, they release certain details in terms of vulnerabilities. They have certain vulnerability database. So Cisco has its own called Cisco vulnerability database. Then certain global standard bodies like NIST and all, they have their own standard databases. So what we are doing is we are collecting the data from them and checking with the individual target devices in terms of, based on that particular device make and model. Say I choose a device like this 51.100. You see this bug icon here. If I click on this, it shows me all the vulnerabilities which are present on that particular device. Now mostly this, so many red vulnerabilities which are highly severe, you get a vulnerability score also. 10 is the highest, and then if you see, once it keeps getting lower, the colors also might change. So below 9 it will be orange, then further lower if you go, there are certain yellow colored vulnerabilities which is less than 6 or less than 7, sorry, 6.8, 6.4, and further down there are some green color which is not a vulnerability, more of a warning, right? So it gives you a complete list of all vulnerabilities for any particular device with the vulnerability ID, what is the current status, and also gives you some guidelines in terms of how to overcome this. Okay, now I know there is a problem, but this is the complete details of the problem. Are there any workarounds? So it highlights what workarounds can be done to, temporarily ensure that this doesn't harm anything in your network. And then it lists the complete set of device firmwares or models which will be affected by this vulnerability. And the best way to deal with them is, in case it's a very old firmware, you might get a lot of red vulnerabilities. You can plan a remote firmware upgrade on a weekend night, or have some downtime, like a planned service outage where you take the device and do a remote firmware upgrade. But everything can be done from here itself. You can have the OS images downloaded, and you can push the latest firmware to the respective target devices. So that's what we are doing, kind of a network device patch management, to ensure that all the devices are up to date and don't have any vulnerabilities which can get exploited. Next, it also helps in a lot of policy compliances. Now, depending on the segment, like for a banking customer, it can do PCI DSS. For a hospital customer, it can do your HIPAA. And then there are standards like ISO, NIST, and so on. So even for certain organizations who have their own custom configurations, even those kind of templates can be embedded, and we can do a quick compliance check. So you get a compliance summary view like this. Basically, these are my different policies. I can check from a policy perspective how many individual rules have been violated, and based on the severity levels. Even device wise, I can check, okay, for this device, how many breaches have happened. There are 6 red breaches, 1 yellow. So I can click on them and check what are these 6 red flags. Some default SNMP string configured, AAA is not configured, which is supposed to be as per that particular policy. So if I want more details, I can go to an individual device like this. Say for 51.100, it gives a very nice, easy to infer kind of display, where it says left hand side we have all the configurations, basically this is the device configuration, and whenever any particular line item has a red flag, it will highlight that here. So I can just click on this icon and filter to show only the policy violations. Okay. So here I can see AAA is not configured, that is violating some policy. Then I'm using some default SNMP community string, that is violating some policy. Right. So like this, if I get, it becomes very easy for me to take actions and ensure that I can get rid of all these, at least the highest level severity challenges, the red flags. Right. So that's what I'm doing from a policy management perspective. And these can be even your custom templates. So once I have your golden templates configured, I can even do a remote device provisioning where it automatically checks, okay, this is the device. It gets an IP from your DHCP or DNS system, and then it auto configures the target device. It's very commonly used by our ISP or telecom customers. Like if you have broadband connectivity at home, mostly what they do will they'll just come and give you the small router or access point, and all the configuration gets pushed by the target central servers, right? So that's what we are doing. We are able to auto provision the customer premises equipment from the central servers or this from this particular system. Then coming to final part, role-based access control again is very common across all our tools. Then auditing and CLI recording with command search options. So this is one of the very interesting features. What it does is at the first level, it will help you to create authorization profiles from a role-based access control perspective. So I can define a profile, which devices will be accessible, and what will be the level of access, even that I can define. So for example, I can have a whitelisting and blacklisting of commands. So permit commands are basically my whitelisted commands. Since it's a demo setup, I've given dot star, means everything is allowed, but normally we will just allow certain whitelisted commands in this particular table. And then for blacklisted commands, we have given three options. So for the most severe commands, we can tell if this command is executed, it will automatically terminate the remote session. Suppose somebody has taken access to the device and he or she is trying to execute this command, it will just disconnect the session itself. Then slightly less severe, block command. So it will keep the session active, but it will not allow the user to execute these commands. And then something else, even less severe, like it will allow the user to execute the command, but it will notify a senior stakeholder like your network admin or somebody, right? And whatever is being done gets recorded. So I can even check, say as a network admin or as a senior user, right? I can even log in parallelly and check what is going on. If somebody has taken access to my core switch or my gateway router, I can parallelly log in and check, okay, what is this fellow doing? And if I find, okay, something is happening which should not happen, I can also remotely disconnect that particular session. And after the session is completed, it stores all the details like this. So here you can see there are around 88 sessions. If I want to see details of any particular session, I can click on it. It will give me the complete details, who took access at what time, from what time to what time, and what were the commands that were executed by that particular session. Now for a forensic analysis, I can even do a command based filter. So I want to check for certain commands where they were executed, so it can do that. So I just type snmp. Now from 88 it becomes 31. Now I can go and figure out, okay, in these sessions this particular command was executed. So that this kind of makes your forensic analysis or a historical analysis task way easier or faster than it used to be before without this kind of a tool. And then finally, one of the most basic things, once it fetches your downloads your configuration backups and keeps, it also highlights whether any changes have happened. So here you can see this is the host name of a device. It says there are some changes. If I want to see what is the change, I just click there. It has a very beautifully color coded depiction of the change. So any new command added is highlighted in orange. So whenever any change is detected, it increments the version counter. So the earlier version was 77. Now the new configuration file version is 78. So this is the new thing that got added. Anything deleted would have been highlighted in pink. Any parameter change will be highlighted in blue. And it also captures the details of who did the change and what was the other commands that were typed. Like the complete session details, again it records and keeps in terms of the while the change was carried out, what were the commands that got executed. Okay. So this kind of helps you a lot in terms of your complete device or network auditing ensuring you are in control of what is happening in my network. I'm not allowing anybody to do anything what they want. I control who will do what. I will define the configuration templates. I will define the access privileges, the authorization profiles. And then I also have comprehensive reports. So where not only in terms of the operations, like my day-to-day operations, what is happening, how many changes are happening, how many device backups failed, but also from a security audit perspective, I have a very beautiful report, which we call it the device security audit report. So what happens is normally, for every customer, when they're doing an external audit, they have challenges in terms of, in case things are not proper, the auditor does some checks and gives you a big list of things to be done, right? These device, this is not proper, this is not proper. And then they give you a very minimal timeline. So we will come back again in a month, 2 weeks. By then you need to get all these things fixed. So just to help our customers, we are giving them this particular report, which is a very comprehensive report per device, kind of a security audit report for each individual network devices, which addresses different parts of the device from a security standpoint. So if you see, this is the format. So for this, it's a Cisco router. I want to check, are there any dictionary based passwords and keys? I just click on it. So it gives me a nice template. Like it observation is there are 5 password keys that those are dictionary based, and it lists them down in a table, highlights the impact of this and the ease with which this can be or how vulnerable it makes the device. There are a lot of dictionary based password guessing techniques which can be used to hack this, and the recommendation is immediately change this to something which is more complex. Now, what is a complex password? It should be at least 8 characters, contain either uppercase or lowercase characters and numbers. Similarly, say with respect to my SNMP protocol, again it has observed that SNMP v1 is configured, which is not again very safe, because it also gives you the impact, because it's unencrypted, both v1 and v2c. If an attacker is able to monitor traffic, they can capture your device configuration settings, including the authentication details. Now that becomes very challenging, right? Again, what is to be done? Okay, I know there is a problem, but how do I go about it? It also gives you a recommendation. Immediately change this to version 3, which has certain encryptions included in it, and it also gives you a syntax to enable or configure SNMP v3 on that particular device. So like this, it generates a report for all your devices. It will be some work for initially some of the banks, where now what happens was, in your data center DR site, all devices are fine, but your remote branches, right, sometimes certain devices are not very accurate from a security standpoint or from configuration standpoint, and everybody take accesses remotely, they do some changes, it gets very difficult to track who did what whenever any problem happens. Now with this software coming into the picture, you can manage everything from a central standpoint without having to deal with any unwanted changes or challenges from a configuration modification perspective, right? So that's about it in a nutshell. So just to give you an idea in terms of how is this being used by some of our valued customers. So this is for a big bank. They have around 15,000 devices. So they are taking daily backups of all devices across their 6,500 branches using this tool. These are the different device types that they have, multiple OEMs, again, Cisco, HP, Juniper and all. And then they are doing a lot of automations, ACL configurations, interface configurations, password encryptions, is using our configuration templates, and also certain complicated tasks like network traffic diversion when they are doing a DC to DR drill. They are again using our automation engine. So earlier they used to take around 2.5 hours for this to be done manually. That has been reduced to max 25 minutes with the automation kicking in for this, but from this particular tool feature, right? Then they're able to implement security hardening policies across 10,000 plus devices. Again, it's like something, you create a template and it allows you to push that template across multiple devices. So for all my Cisco devices, or all my HP devices, or all my Juniper devices, I can keep multiple golden templates, as they call it, and then have them pushed to ensure that they are up to date from a security standpoint. Then they did some vulnerability scans, and initially, with 7,000 plus devices, they detected some 2 lakh plus vulnerabilities. But over a period of time, within a month or two, they were able to reduce this number to few hundreds by using the workarounds, the suggestions, and even by doing remote firmware upgrades for the devices where the firmwares were not updated for a while. Finally, one thing, okay, they also did, since it was a bank, they are doing the PCI DSS compliance tests and other compliances which are required as per their policies. And all across all devices, they are getting a report or dashboards, and they're able to take care of the red flags immediately. And additionally, from a security standpoint, what they did was they removed all local accounts, again using this tool itself, just to ensure that nobody can take a direct access and do any change. Then it becomes difficult for the tool to, although it will identify the change, but it will might not be able to figure out who did the change. So this tool can even sync up with your TACAX, Radius, and other authentication systems. Now, I showed you the authorization profile. So that's what they did. They created profiles for all types of users, L1, L2, L3, and so on. And then anybody who wants to do any change, it goes through the complete change approval process, the change management system. Request for change is created, and that gets evaluated, the risk gets calculated, the cost gets calculated, it goes through a cab approval, and finally when it's passed or approved, the engineer is allowed to carry on the change, and all the details gets recorded in the system. So that's what we are doing. These are some of the customer names that we have. Mostly you will see are Indian customers, but Middle East, again, we have started recently and we have already acquired a couple of customers there. So soon you should be able to see some names here with Middle East companies also. That's it from my end. Any questions, anybody? I'm open to discussion.
If anyone wants to talk, they can just unmute their microphone and talk, or you can chat.
Sorry.
Thank you, Abhi, for the detailed explanation of the NCCM. Hope everyone got understand. Get some idea about the product. But of course, if they really want to try out this product, they can reach to us, and we will help them out.
All right. Anybody, any questions before we end the session today? Sunil, Shahul.
It's asking for, is it ready for security devices like ASA?
Okay, yeah. So this currently it works for all CLI based devices. For any security devices, mostly if you see they are GUI based. So that's where tools like there are other tools available like AlgoSec, which takes care of that. Currently, we are mainly focusing on your CLI enabled devices. It will not support your GUI based. It can support, but it will be restricted to just the configuration backups and so on. It will not give you the complete like other features that are mentioned. SDN, again, see SDN itself, the SDN vendors provide all the management controls or options. So although we developed it for one of the SDN vendors, what we figured out was customers are not willing to switch from their SDN vendor, because be it Cisco, be it your Level Networks or any Fortinet, Velo Cloud, all of them provide these functionalities from the SDN controller itself. So it can do, but will the customer buy it is a concern.
Okay. Thank you everyone to joining with us today. And of course, we know that this timing is everyone is engaged with meeting and busy schedules, but at least you get the time to join with us. Thank you so much for that. Anyway, we will be sending all the recording. If anything miss out, you can check in the report, in the recording, and you can revert to us. We will help you out to try out the solution. Thank you all.
Thanks everyone. Take care. Thanks a lot for joining. We all know it's March. It's a busy quarter, but I'm sure we'll have many more such webinars. So I'll request you all to also attend them and share your insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining.